Welcome to the Nagual Zone. My name is Anam, and today I've got a really interesting thing for you guys to ponder over. The background to what I'm gonna say is that me and my elder sister, we were on WhatsApp the other day and just chatting, and I was sort of jokingly reminding her of what kind of we were talking about what kind of punishments we got in school when we were kids. We went to school in India, and Indian schooling is, without exaggeration, very similar to what you would, if you were given an assignment to think up of a concentration camp for kids, you would come up with an Indian school, a model of a Catholic Indian school. My sister went to a Catholic Indian school, and she related an incident in her life where she was punished in school. And what had happened, our family had gone to watch a Bollywood movie on the Sunday evening. The next day, Monday, my sister goes to school, and in her own words, one of the teachers heard me singing one of the songs while we girls were going to class in single file. She was only maybe 10, 12, maybe 13 years old. Right here, the pain starts. As an adult, we can see where the pain is, right here. Heard me singing one of the songs while we girls were going to class in single file. She reported me. What kind of human being? Let's think about it. What kind of human being reports to the principal a little child singing happily with their friends an innocent Bollywood song? The kind that is sexually repressed themselves. The kind you call them, I don't know what about you guys, but we call them sisters. They are sisters and fathers. These Catholics, sisters and fathers. Now, this is the kind of video I really wish had millions of views, because all these sisters and fathers need to really understand something. They need to understand their averageness. That's what I'm trying to get at. And what the average man is concerned with is control. Control over themselves, control over others. So carrying on. Going to class in single file, exactly like the military or a concentration camp or a prison, in single file. What kind of mentality forces children, free beings, right, who just want to sing, play, have fun, and are full of the joy of life, force them to walk in single file and report them if one of the girls is singing? Okay, so that we can see how the abuse starts. Then, now in her words, then Sister Cecilia called me in assembly. Assembly is where in the morning, it's the indoctrination side of the concentration camp, where this father and these sisters, they are, if these people were my sisters, I'd execute them myself one by one. There's nothing sisterly or fatherly about these average humans. Sister Cecilia called me in assembly. Assembly is in the morning. They gather all the children and they make them, they indoctrinate them with Catholic songs, and the Lord is above, and the devil, and thank you, Jesus. They sing all these damn songs. Called me in assembly, gave me 2 shots on the knuckles. Why? For singing a song. Now here's the deal breaker, guys. This is why I made this video. That day till date, that day, when she was 13 years old, till date, she's 50 years old now, approaching 50. She's 4 years older than me. No, actually, she'll be 48. That day till date, my mantra is never break laws. Rule is a rule to be followed. Stay safe and straight. Then she goes on to qualify the level of brainwashing and indoctrination. She says herself, the best lesson I learned in life. That's the kind of concentration camp you want to create if you want to successfully indoctrinate children into the cult of fear, so that all possibility of a free being is lost to that mind, because that mind has been indoctrinated to the point where they themselves praise their own abuse and say it's the best learning I receive in life. Now, my sister is one of the most unambitious, I struggle to put it, she's a lovely person, but, there is nothing, she will never stand out in anything because it's not safe. So, and in those days, in her school, you couldn't talk in the actual language of India, which is Hindi. You had to talk in English because the British had have to this date have indoctrinated the Indian mentality to feel proud when speaking the language of their slave masters and to feel shameful when speaking in their native tongue. That is genius level indoctrination, which started by the Romans, by the way. The Romans figured out, really amazing, figured out that to really retain control of our empire, we don't have enough soldiers. So what do we want to do? We want to give them our mind. Now this brings you right back. I don't know how thorough your knowledge of the Toltec system is, but there is a certain book where John explains to Carlos Castaneda about these entities called the flyers. And after this explanation, and Castaneda was given to, was a very, he was one of those flawed geniuses, insane in many ways, full of delusion and self-importance. I personally call him the foolish Nagual. Out of the lineage, in his lineage of Naguals, he was by far the most foolish one, because he just was never able to fully master the art of becoming an expert hunter of your own self-importance. He could never get it, which is unfortunate because he had a lot of potential, but he died an average man. He was ultimately defeated by the fourth enemy, old age, and a life of unimpeccable, self-important jackassness and tomfoolery. Again, you can comment and disagree, agree. I could not care less, because that's not the point. The point is that when Don Juan has finished his explanation of the flyers, he tells Castaneda, who's, exaggerated reactions and all sorts of bullshit. And he tells him that the flyers have given us their mind. That is the foreign installation. So my sister is living out a life that is really not her own. And she will never walk the warrior's path. You know why? Because it has been systematically blocked out of her perception, systematically blocked out at a very young age. So this path is, feel grateful, never take the warrior's path for granted. You know why? Because you didn't choose it. It chose you. Make sure you never mistake, never think that you had any measure of control or choice over, if you have the good fortune to, knowledge is one thing, to be able to apply successfully the Toltec system in your life to become a more impeccable being. Never think that you had anything to do with it, because really you didn't. It chose you. Somehow, through some way, through your incredible indoctrination and bad habits and all the things stacked against the warrior's path, it chose you to overcome those challenges and become the warrior that you either already are or hope to be one day, if you're apprenticing. Hopefully you are apprenticing, you're not just bumbling around in the dark reading books and thinking that you're just sort of becoming some kind of amazing warrior. So my aim is not to bring people down in this video. My aim is to really reveal why I don't really know why I made this video, guys. I really don't know, but this really struck me as such a poignant example of the human condition. Why the average man will always remain the average man. Why the herd will always remain the herd, because the herd has been subjected to this level of abuse. To me as a warrior, this is shocking beyond belief, even though I myself underwent exactly the same indoctrination. But something in me never accepted it. Never. Even in those days. And obviously, once I started my Toltec training, there was no question about that. So, yeah, I don't know why. This is just a video. Take of it what you will. If you have any comments to add, by all means do so underneath. And let me know what you think about what I've talked about today. There's no point to the video, honestly. I don't know what I'm going to put in the thumbnail. But those happy few of us who watch these videos, yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on this. And would you like me to talk more about the foreign installation and the flyers and how to really... Alright, I'll leave you with a juicy tip, a juicy thing. The flyers and the foreign installation, it only exists in its evidence. So you will only find the evidence, you will never find the cause. Because the cause really, it's a strange paradox. The cause doesn't exist, but the effects are tremendous. So always look at your life and the evidence. Don't form images of yourself in your mind that are fictitious. You will always come up with fantasies about yourself that will make you pretend that you are better than you really are. Right? So always look at the life evidence and stop lying to yourself. Train, really, it's the hardest one of the hardest training for the beginner apprentice is to train to become brutally honest with yourself. Brutally honest. Non-negotiable honesty with yourself. That doesn't mean you have to go around becoming a total alien. No, but to yourself, because that is what stalking is about. And a whole another video. But to yourself, if you don't learn to become brutally honest with yourself, you can forget about any self-importance, you know, figuring out how, you know, all your self-important bits. You can forget about any other progression in your Toltec way if you don't learn to become brutally honest with yourself. That's why Castaneda ultimately remained a fool, because he just never took the time, despite the best efforts of John and many others, Gennaro and many others. You know, these were just the people he wrote about. There were many others who tried, but he's such a stubborn guy, so full of self-importance and self-delusion. But there you go, you know, the warrior's way, man. That's why the way I teach it, the way I try and impart that knowledge, it's a specific system, guys. It's not just this bunch of books you read and then you feel happy that you're some kind of warrior or whatever nebulous nonsense in the head. It's a specific system. Without learning to become brutally honest with yourself, you can totally forget about having any idea how to hunt your own self-importance. Without hunting your own self-importance and the resulting effect that it has, which has the effect of starting to still the mind or create an inner world of inner silence. Without that, you can forget about losing the human form. Without getting to losing the human form, you can forget about any of the other feats of perception that, you know, a warrior needs. You can forget about becoming impeccable in each moment. What does that even mean? You'll have no clue, right? So there's a specific progression. There's a specific system. It's extremely scientific. It's as scientific as a physics lab or CERN or any of these so-called scientists. It's the science of perception and consciousness. So I talk a lot about this, and I emphasize this a lot, that this is not just some haphazard sort of, I met a shaman in the jungle and I smoked something and all these wild fantasies. No, it's a very specific system. Anyway, we've gone over today, and thank you for staying with my rant. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, and I will see you next time. Take care, guys. Walk in freedom.